Hey Diego,
Hello, Paulo. How are you?
fine, thank you. So I'm going to ask you some questions about
Okay.
COVID, your experience with this huge pandemic, and
Okay. Perfect.
well, hopefully you like it and you can give me some like real valuable
Okay.
information.
Perfect.
Okay, first we're gonna start. What did you hate the most about COVID?
I mean, I hate so many things, but I think like the most important for me is like that. For example, with my family or friends, like you can get closer. Like for example, with my grandparents, like for the I don't know Christmas or big parties, like you can do it. Like I couldn't see them, or if I see them, like with the mask really far away. So the thing that I could hate the most is like you are far away with the ones that you love. I think could be.
Yes, of course, it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense what you're telling to me. And talking about this, at some point, like this distance you had with everybody, at some point you had COVID.
Yeah, like in Spain, like we have 2 months of lockdown. So when I get out, like at the very first week, I got it. But for me, it wasn't like I didn't have any symptom at all. Or I was asymptomatic, but I was like 2 weeks in lockdown in my room alone, and it was like summer, so it was like I just stay in a lockdown in my house for 2 months, and I just need to be another 2 weeks when everyone is outside. And in my region, that is a very small one in Spain, everyone was doing normal life, so it was hard to do because I didn't have many things to escape of at that moment. So it was a little bit hard for me.
Of course, yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
And well, talking about COVID again in general, not just when you test positive, how did it affect your studies? Like you were in the school and it was online, your studies stopped, or how was that?
Actually, it was pretty bad because my university in that moment, like I studied economics, so in that part they weren't prepared. So I didn't have any class. I only have like they sent some books or some info, but I need to study by myself. So it was pretty hard because actually we had an exam that was the 100% of the mark without any class to ask the teacher or anything. And actually the exams weren't easy. So it was like everyone failed, almost everyone, and we need to do the exam like in the end of September. So if you prepare it by yourself or with a teacher outside the university, was pretty hard. So we didn't learn anything about our degree. So yeah,
Okay.
in the studies environment was pretty bad in my university.
And for how much time was like this your school?
This thing was like like the first 2 months in the lockdown, and later when we started in September of like the 2020 2021 was like more or less semi online, semi on campus.
Oh, okay, but at least they were
Yeah.
they improved their system so you could have classes online.
So it was weird because in class we only could be 20 people at once, but later in exam we could be in the same room 100. So
Okay.
doesn't make sense at all.
Yes, and well, related to what you have been telling to me, do you think you learned less during this time where you were in lockdown and studying online and just by your own than what you would have learned on campus?
I mean, not less because like they ask us like to learn the same things, but we need to work a lot more because I said before like the classes weren't complete. So we need to study more by ourselves or find someone a teacher that is not from the university to explain to you. But like the level was the same of other years or with nothing any pandemic came. So yeah, I mean that is not the thing that I learned less. It's like it was more like I need to study more to understand the things because it's more work for myself, like I said, with the books and everything.
Okay, and when COVID also started and in the first month, it interrupted any plan that you have for that moment or for the future, like a trip, something with your family, any event?
No, in that moment because like with my family, like because of COVID, like I wasn't like I didn't have any fear of it, but most of my family and friends were threatened about it, so I didn't have any plan. I was in my region trying to not spread the virus, not going to any vacation. So for a moment, like I didn't have any special thing to do, so I didn't have any problem with that. So yeah, also that I passed the COVID at the beginning, so I have like that immune part, so I wasn't scared at all.
Okay, for sure. And now that you're talking about this, a question also related. Did like you consider you were responsible with the COVID restrictions and everything that the distance and all of that that you have to like have at the beginning of COVID? And now, of course.
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah, because I mean, as I said, I was in a lockdown like the first week, and also like I didn't went like many people like didn't give it like the importance. So where I live, I said most of the Spanish tourism went there. We were like really bad, and many people were doing parties without giving any importance of it. So they were like it was really bad, but I didn't assist to any of them. If I have plans, because we only can meet like 5 people at once at that moment. Also, we have curfew, so I only meet my 5 friends there. Everyone like only them in a place, not in like a big places like bars or any place. So yeah, I think I was responsible in that part.
Okay, and you consider that your region was responsible too, and how they managed COVID?
Like was not the problem of my region, because in my region we are less than a half, but in that moment more than a million came. So it was like we were overwhelmed, like more people that we can have were there. So that's why we like the government of my region decide to put those things like the curfew or the lockdown, because not in the whole Spain was like that. It was depending the level of COVID. And mine was actually during that summer in 2020 like the second worst in the whole Europe, and we were in a small region. So yeah, like my government was trying to do it, but the people that came was the problem.
Okay, and right now are you fully vaccinated?
Yes, I am since like January. In January, I get here in Stockholm my third vaccine. That was pretty easy to have, and I didn't have any problem with that. It was really good, really quick, and I have it like I said, like for a couple of months, and any problem.
And the same with the first and second dose?
Yeah, and also with the first and second dose, I have it like one of the first young people in my country, because I was doing the plan of Erasmus. So I got vaccinated like 2 months before every one of my age. So also it was really good and was really quick, and I didn't have any problem with that. It was a really good organization. So yeah.
Okay, and at some point before getting vaccinated, you thought about it, or you were always like, yes, I'm getting vaccinated, or you were like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna wait
I
a
know,
little
I
bit?
didn't even hesitate. Like when they said I could get vaccinated, I went, I do the every call, and I get there to do it, because I mean I was like think like the most important businesses, many people was trying to do the vaccine, so for me was really safe, or at least is the thing that I think, because many businesses, millionaire businesses, billionaire were into it, so I think they were really safe.
Okay, yeah, sounds makes sense. And now that you're living in Stockholm, do you think it was the right decisions? Like it's been a couple months since they removed the mask, the use of the mask. Do you think this was the right decision? Because I mean, of course, it helps to reduce a lot the cases of COVID.
Yeah, like it's a really big difference, because in Spain, like 2 days ago they keep the mask, but here in Stockholm, when I arrived in August, it was really weird for me, because no one had the mask. It wasn't compulsory, and I barely saw people with that. So for me, it was really good, and also didn't make any change here, because they were really good, better than in Spain. And in Spain, we wear the mask, and I said, and as I said, like 2 days ago they removed the mask. So yeah, it was I think the change that I saw was really good, and also the environment that we have here in Stockholm if we compare it to Spain. So yeah.
Sure. And do you think this strategy of removing the mask at the beginning of COVID was to like help everybody in the country get like the COVID-19, and then at the end nobody, like most of the people, stopped getting the virus, or what was the reason that you think they did?
Yeah,
like
I
that?
mean, also in Stockholm, they are like 10 million, no, in Stockholm, in the whole Sweden, like 10 million people. So the density is not that much, only the big cities. So if they are already vaccinated and they don't have the mask, so they can pass the COVID while they have the vaccine, I think it's probably a strategy or a method that can help like to the people to pass the COVID and not be a really big thing to have. So yeah, I mean, I think for me that from my point of view, it's a really good strategy at least because I don't know this type of medicine or anything. But from my point of view, I think that is a really good point.
Okay, and what was going through your mind? Like, you, a lot of times we thought that COVID was over, but then a new mutation came, like Delta, Omicron, and all of the, like, what was going through your mind when, because you were like, okay, COVID is now over, and then again and again. So what was going on through your mind?
For me, like every variation was the same. So I don't know, yeah, like depending one is spread more quickly, other I don't know, you lose the sense of a sniff or anything. But yeah, and I say the thing I think is the COVID-19 is gonna be with us like a flu, but we are going to develop year by year. So we are going to create a new defense, and we are need to live with it. Like I said, like a flu. So yeah, like we are gonna need to get used to it, pass it through the years.
Sure, and one last question. Now, in this moment, COVID is much better than at the beginning, of course.
Yes.
As you have been telling to me, we need to get used to it. So, would you say COVID is like almost over now?
As I said, like in the other question, like it's not over because from my point of view, like I reckon that it's gonna stay with us like a flu or an other thing. Like for example, in winter it's gonna return, but yeah, like we are going to be vaccinated, we are going to develop new defenses, our immunity system is going to develop it too, but also the COVID is going to evolve. So yeah, through the years we are going to be in that fight, but it's going to be a normal disease that we are going to find it every year.
Yeah, of course. So, this is everything for now. Thank you very much for your time, Diego. And, well, thank you.
Thanks.